All right, guys, I'm going to be honest. The HBO Harry Potter looks way better than I ever thought it was going to be because Dominic McLaughlin steals the show as Harry Potter with his performance in the trailer. Honestly, he does more to sell me on the show than any of the promo photos HBO put out ever did. No, he really kind of embodies the role. I mean, the beginning of the trailer, I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work out, but by the end of it, I was like, oh no, this kid, he nails it. He was Harry Potter to me. As far as the rest of the young cast, we have Arabella Stanton as Hermione Granger. Again, had no issues with her. Alastair Stout as Ron Weasley. I thought he looked fantastic. So the main trio, from what I can see from this trailer, they seem to be doing like a pretty good job. And there was nothing with their performances that brought any skepticism to me when it came to this show by HBO. And I also like the fact that they seem to have added a lot of the stuff they cut from the books back into the story. I mean, it's been a while since I read them. I remember reading them as a kid, but it's like, when I saw the haircut scene, I was like, oh, wow, they're putting this into this? That was surprising to me. I was like, wow, yeah. And even, just kind of showing more of Harry's life, when he was going to a muggle school, getting bullied, and even the haircut scene itself. It's like, as a book fan, or as a fan at least of the original books, because I read the first two, I believe 3 books back then, as a young robot, I thought it looked pretty amazing to me. It's like, oh, okay, well, once again, it's like my skepticism on some elements is still there, but I thought all of that was really, really good. The tone, the cinematography definitely seems darker compared to the original film. Part of that is because apparently the production designer who did, I believe it was that TV show Interview with the Vampire, she's taken what it seems like a more grounded approach, kind of like a 90s British and the kind of high fantasy aesthetic of the original film. It seems less whimsical. But I will admit, I am missing that John Williams iconic score. I'm sure Hans Zimmer will do a good job with the score, but yeah, I definitely was missing that. I kind of wish they had played it at the end just for old time's sakes. And now, when it comes to the rest of the casting, when it comes to some of the adults, that's when it kind of gets hit or miss. I mean, Hagrid, I got to admit, that's a tough one for me because, I thought the original actor did such a great job embodying, Hagrid to the point where anybody's playing him afterwards, it's always going to be tough. I know people also, didn't care for Snape, but for me, he was easier to accept because he was so different from Alan Rickman that I couldn't make the comparison. But whereas I didn't feel like the actor playing, Hagrid, I didn't feel like he was different enough. And as a result, he kind of suffers every time he's on screen because all I'm thinking about is the original actor because he just doesn't look different enough to the point where it's like, this is a different kind of character. So I think, and again, this is 8 episodes, right? So I'm sure he's going to eventually win me over. But then you have the rest of the cast, like John Lithgow as Dumbledore. He seems to be doing all right. He has like some big shoes to fill, but this is John Lithgow. So I'm sure he'll do all right. And as we talked about earlier, Papa Esidu, I'm sorry if I'm butchering his name, as Cerberus Snape. This is going to be controversial. I mean, I can see now that a lot of people are either going to hate it or not. Me personally, I don't think anybody could ever touch Alan Rickman as Professor Snape. So for me, going as different from that kind of version as you possibly can is a smart move because I don't think any actor cast in the vein of Alan Rickman is ever going to touch his iconic performance. So again, from what I can see from the trailer, he seems to be different enough to the point where it's like, okay, different take. Let's see what happens. I'm at least willing to give him a shot. And finally, you have like I think it was Janet McTeer as Professor McGonagall. Again, another tough one, right? Tough act to follow, but I think she can pull it off. But also, apparently they're releasing this on Christmas. We didn't even know until the trailer. I mean, that was a smart move, like that kind of surprise drop. putting it out on December the 25th. 8 episodes. And again, look, the team behind this, we have the showrunner from Succession. We have the director of Game of Thrones, or at least one of them, Hans Zimmer. So that's a solid team. Well, more than solid. It's a great team behind this. So it shouldn't surprise if this turns out to be actually, pretty strong or pretty good. But as I said, from what I can see from the trailer, I'm excited. I went in skeptical, thinking, why does this show even, why should this even exist? But I walk out going, okay, I'm at least willing to give it a shot, willing to give it a chance. I don't know if it's going to be, terrible or good, but for me, they did enough to at least have me kind of checking out the first couple episodes when it drops on Christmas. So again, but anyways, these are my thoughts on Harry Potter. I want to hear your guys' thoughts about the HBO show. Did you like it? Do you hate it? Were you kind of put off by some of the casting, or are you okay with it? Let us know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Until then, I'm T-Rex and I'm out.